Us now, Ambassador John Bolton, former U.S. National Security Advisor under President Trump. It's good to see you, sir. I said earlier today I would be surprised if this conflict stayed solely between Gaza and Israel and contained to the Gaza Strip. Was I being too pessimistic?
No, it won't stay that way because it didn't start that way. I think, as your reporting earlier has already laid the basis for, we need to understand that this is an Iranian attack on Israel, with Hamas as its very willing spear carriers. This has been planned for a long time. Remember, this is almost exactly the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War against Israel, where, again, Israel was caught by surprise along the Suez Canal, along the Golan Heights on the West Bank, suffered terrible defeats before it got itself back on its feet. Same thing has happened here. We don't know whether Hezbollah will really join the action in the north, but this could not have happened unless Iran not only supplied and trained and financed Hamas and Hezbollah, but directed and controlled it. And the White House really needs to get a spine here and say what is obvious to anybody who knows this situation. This is entirely Iran's doing. And Iran is going to have to pay a price for it. Nobody knows that better than Bibi Netanyahu. So while the focus, quite understandably, is on southern Israel and Gaza, I wouldn't be surprised if the Israeli government was looking at striking Iran, too, and they should.
Well, look, after Munich, the Israelis hunted down dozens of people around the world and killed them who were involved in that. The Israelis have long memories. You are one of the few people who have sort of a real insight into Benjamin Netanyahu. You've known him for a long time. He respects you. He talks to you. I covered him when I was in the Middle East and have since, but don't have anywhere near the understanding. His language today about an existential threat to Israel, generations from now we'll watch what we do. He seemed to be stealing his country for something that I had never heard any Israeli leader talk about, maybe with the exception of Golda Meir in '73.
Right. Look, that's why, to me, it's another indication that Netanyahu is thinking about Iran. These terrorist attacks are barbaric. They've caused horrific damage. We know from the kidnappings to be used as hostages, as bargaining chips. There's going to be more to come. But it's not an existential threat to Israel. It can cause terrible damage, but the country itself will survive. An Iranian nuclear attack would provoke what former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon once told George W. Bush would be a nuclear holocaust. And that's on Netanyahu's mind, too. So first things first, he's got to stabilize the situation in the country where there may be still a large number of terrorists loose. He's got to deal with Gaza, and then he's got to deal with the bigger picture.
I think about the American administration, right, because Israel's the little Satan, we're the big Satan. After 9/11, you know, we thought anything was possible, Al-Qaeda cells, whatever, that came now to Israel, of these attacks inside its country. In the past couple of hours, Secretary Blinken has tweeted and then deleted a tweet that included talking about a ceasefire. He encouraged a ceasefire. Now he says that Israel has the right to protect itself. And then also, perhaps the most underreported story in Washington is the case of Robert Malley. He was the special envoy. He's now been suspended to Iran from the Biden administration. His security clearance is under review, and his allegiance, whether it is to the United States or to Iran, is under serious questions. There's a member of the political staff at the Pentagon who also there are some serious questions about her allegiances to. What is it going to take in your mind? Maybe there's nothing. And I'm trying to figure out what the administration's sort of willingness to allow the Iranians to get away with all this stuff is.
Well, I think the Biden administration has made a total mess of Iran policy from the beginning. Their obsession, it's a theological obsession to get back into the 2015 nuclear deal, very damaging to the United States, damaging to Israel, damaging to our Arab friends in the region. Still, they pursue it. They pursue it despite all of the evidence that Iran has never really decided to give up nuclear weapons.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.